Okay, so I genuinely believe the Colts should sign Jameis Winston. Before you get your box of tomatoes and start throwing them at the screen, I want you to take a second and think about this. This week in Chris Ballard's press conference, he was very open about the fact that the Colts will bring in some competition at the quarterback position, and it makes sense. He also said we're not going to guarantee that Anthony Richardson is our franchise quarterback, which we all know at this point. There's the injury concern, and when he's been on the field, as expected, it's been a roller coaster, and we've been kind of on the down more than up at times, it seems like recently. So with that in mind, the Colts getting a quarterback this offseason is inevitable. Now, when will that be or who will that be? It remains to be seen. I think it makes more sense for the Colts to bring in a proven veteran quarterback more so than spend a premium pick, a second or third round pick on legitimate competition because we have so much holes on our roster. A playmaker tight end who could be had from Penn State, or the defensive side of the ball, which is a train wreck no matter who our defensive coordinator is. So to me, I think you have to get a veteran quarterback, and you got to have one who has some tread left on the tires. And Jameis Winston is exactly that. The other thing to consider is back in 2020, 2021, when Phillip Rivers retired from the Colts, it was reported that the Colts were really interested in signing Winston, but they went ahead and made the trade for Carson Wentz because that Frank Reich, Carson Wentz connection there. But so the ties to Jameis Winston and the Colts have already been there, even if it's been a few years, because Chris Ballard is still our general manager, whether you like it or not. So that connection, I think, is still real. And when he talks about being more aggressive in free agency and bringing in competition at quarterback, I think Winston is the perfect candidate for that. You have to think he still has plenty of juice left in that arm. He played in Cleveland last year, and again, in typical Jameis Winston fashion, it's kind of like he plays like a video game player where he could throw 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in one game. And honestly, I've watched Jameis Winston quite a bit throughout his career. I feel like he is one of those guys who, if he was in the perfect system early in his career, and was in a different situation, his career could have played out much, much, much more differently. Obviously, it's played out the way it has. And I think, honestly, with how we've seen in the NFL with resurgence of quarterbacks' careers later in their career, I think Jameis Winston would just make sense in a Shane Steichen system where you have a strong running game in Jonathan Taylor, where you do have some pieces, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, a deep threat. And if you could find another key catcher like a Tyler Warren from Penn State, I think that could really be suitable for a guy like Jameis Winston if for whatever reason Anthony Richardson regresses or got injured during the season. Now, I say all that to say, I don't think that if you sign Jameis Winston, he's immediately going to get the starting job. I think he would really have to light it up in training camp and in the preseason to take that job from Richardson. To me, I think it's Richardson's job to lose, and it's a make or break year for him. And signing a guy like a Jameis Winston who knows how to win games, knows how to start, knows how to be a quality backup in the NFL. And honestly, he's matured so much in the NFL with in interviews and how he conducts himself and how he speaks. It's hard not to like Jameis Winston. So to me, I think the move just makes perfect sense. He can go in right away and he can compete at a winnable level in the NFL. All the talent is there. And maybe, and we've seen it with Sam Darnold, we've seen it with a couple other quarterbacks where if they get in the right system, they can play at a high level. I'm not saying it's going to be Jameis Winston, but he's one of those guys where you could see that happening if he could get those turnovers in check. He's a fun player to watch, Jameis Winston is. He's not going to be your typical Nick Foles, Joe Flacco style. Like, the offense will put up points. The defense might just score some points on you as well because he might be good for a pick 6 or 2. But I think the Colts offense could be legitimate with the Jameis Winston at the helm. I'm curious what you guys think. I don't want to drag this on too long. The purpose of my show in this podcast is we want authentic takes with no clickbait. So what I mean by that is, hey, we're going to go straight from the heart, straight from the truth, no hidden agendas. No, not just if somebody's saying something on Colts media or Colts Twitter, it doesn't mean we're going to say it here on our show. We're going to give authentic takes, whether it's popular or not. And to me, I think Jameis Winston coming to the Colts makes sense. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Again, if you could subscribe to this channel, comment below and let me know what you guys think. It'd mean a lot. Hey, and until next time, I appreciate you watching the Common Colt Podcast, and I hope you have a great day.